Hello, welcome to Knack's How to Build a Custom CRM webinar. My name is Ro and I am part of Knack's Customer Success team. A brief overview about Knack. What is Knack? Knack is a powerful online database tool that provides a secure location for you to collect and manage all of your data. We have a few components to our software in the building process. You'll hear me throughout this webinar refer to the builder and the live application or live app. The builder is where all of your data is defined and stored, and this includes the data tab and a pages tab. The data tab is where you define your data, and this is also where your data is stored. On the Pages tab is where you design how your users will interact with your data using tools like forms, reports, maps, and more. You can then access your app through the live application where users can view and update the data that you have shared with them. Once you have defined your data and designed your application, you have a couple of options for sharing your live application. You can generate a snippet of code and embed in your website, or you can simply have users access your live application at your Knack personalized URL. Okay, so what will we be going through in this webinar? We're going to tour the Custom CRM Demo App, and a quick definition of a customer relationship manager is they help businesses manage their interactions with their current or potential customers while building customer loyalty and retention. So the main feature of this app is the ability to customize the life cycle that your customers take, and also the ability to trigger notifications, approvals, and any other actions as customers progress through the pipeline. For this webinar, we recommend that you understand the basics of building in Knack and know how to add objects, user roles, make connections, and create pages. If you're not quite there yet, check out our video, How to Build a Customer Portal. That will be helpful in giving you a foundation on how to build, and then come back here to our webinar here and you can see how you would add a sales pipeline or a custom CRM portion to your app. You can find the How to Build a Customer Portal video on our webinars page and by clicking on the video button link to see past videos and webinars. Okay, and once we have toured the Custom CRM Demo App, we will build out a portion of the Custom CRM, and then we will end off our webinar with a Q&A with the time that will be remaining. We should have about 15-20 minutes, so leave any questions that you have in the Q&A section of our conference room. Okay, let's get started. Let's take a tour of our custom CRM. We're going to first log in as a rep and take a look at what they see. So, logging in, you will see we are immediately brought to the dashboard for our rep, and we are able to see some text views here, a menu view, and also a table of current tasks. And these tasks can be edited. On our menu view, we've got a link to view completed tasks. So we click on that link there. We've also got another menu link that takes us back to the dashboard. And then we also have another link in our menu to add a note to the system. So we've got some immediate quick links for our rep to be able to add information to our system. You'll see up here is our page menu, and we have dashboard, lead, proposals, customers one, and a calendar view. Now this would be our pipeline here where we go from leads to proposals to customers one, and then obviously the calendar view is going to be where they can see an overview of any meetings that they have scheduled for the day. So let's take a look at our pipeline and take a look at specifically the leads tab first. So you will see here on the leads tab we have the option to add a new lead to the system, so you'll see that form here. You will also see a table of all of your leads. So for this rep, they're going to see their leads in this table. They've got one lead now, and we're going to use Sally Jane to walk us through this process here. So now you'll see here on the table we've got a couple links here. One link to view lead details and add any notes. So if we're keeping a history of our conversation with this particular lead, we are able to add notes here on this page. So we're seeing the details about them, and then we're also able to add notes. And again, we can update this lead to a proposal if that is the case. So we can do that here from our contact details page. If I were to go back to my leads page, you'll also see I have the option here to update them as well here to a proposed state. So if we're going from a lead to a proposal, we click on that link, we have the options here to see some brief information about the lead, and then we can add project information. If this lead is now turned into a project, we can give it a name and add some details there. So going back here and taking a look at this table, let's say we were to go to our view lead and we want to update the proposal status. We will change this to a project name. Maybe we want to call it Acme Project, and we want to add some details about that project there. And maybe that project's in New York City. So we're going to go ahead and submit the details about this project. And if we go back to view the information about this, we can see that it is now a proposal rather than a lead. And if we were to go to our leads, we no longer see this in our table view here. However, we can click on our now proposals tab, and we now see Sally has been moved over to our proposals page, and you can see that that new project information is entered in here. And again, we've got a couple links here at the end of our table to either view that lead's details. And what you'll see new here on this page is we've got project information added here, because now we're no longer a lead, we're in proposal stage. We have the project information here. And again, we can add notes and we can update this particular contact to a customer or one status. So that would be the next step in the pipeline if that does happen. So again, we've got notes to add to continue to track the history of the conversation with this contact, as well as an ability to update the customer to the one status. So if let's go ahead and click on that. For Sally, we're just given a form, or not a form here, but we're just given the button here to submit and just update that status field. So let's go ahead and click submit. And if we were to go back to our contact details, you'll see that the new status here is customer one. So we're now in that status. If I go to proposals and look at my table with proposals, they're no longer here in this table. And so if I head over to my customers one, we should see Sally over here, and there she is. She's moved down our pipeline and is now at the customers one stage, which is really great. And then we have the option to, again, view this customer, and we're going to see all of the details here, that conversation, that ongoing conversation. So basically what we're doing is we're just updating one field. We're updating a field, and we're able to move them down the pipeline and only show the information or show those records that are in that stage or have that particular status. So we're now looking at our customers one, and we've moved Sally through the pipeline. And again, we have our calendar view just to take a look at it, and we can see details about that task, all of everything. We can see tasks and we can see meetings, and this is just our pulling from our notes information here that we've got here that's capturing to-dos and dates and things like that. So that's where that's pulling from. So let's go ahead and take a look at our app from the manager's point of view. So I'm going to go ahead and click manager, and you can see that our rep doesn't have access to these pages, so we've got to now log in as the manager, and we will be given access to this page to log in as the manager. So now the manager can see an overview of everything that's going on. They can see their sales reps, and they can see all of the contacts in the system and the sales reps that are connected to them as well. They can view any notes and details. They can see the complete conversation or history of interaction with the particular contact in one view, so they're able to see contact details, proposal details. They can add their own notes as well. The manager also has an option to view tasks in one screen, and that's all the tasks for all the reps, as well as they can add reps to the system. And additionally, they can add contacts to the system and then assign that to a particular rep. So we can create a new contact and assign it to a rep. That rep will log in and they will see this new contact that has been assigned to them. So the manager can do quite a bit here. The manager also does have a calendar view where they can see all of the tasks and meetings that the reps have in their notes or scheduled with their contacts. So the manager side is pretty straightforward, but we're going to be building out the rep side, a portion of the rep side where you're able to move that contact through a pipeline, and we will show you how to do that in the live build. Okay, so let's get into building a portion of our custom CRM out. So I've switched screens up here, so now you should be able to see two screens side by side so we can kind of see what we're building while we are building things out. So first, I will say that hopefully you are comfortable with Knack. You're able to create objects, you're able to create user roles, and you've got a good understanding how that works, as well as making connections. We won't be going through that in this video. We do have other videos. Our How to Build a Customer Portal webinar does take you through how to set up your objects, how to set up your user roles, and how to connect them. In this particular webinar, we're going to be focusing on the portion of what components do you need with your custom CRM to help you be able to set up a pipeline or to track a customer through stages. So taking a look here at our builder here on the left hand side of our screen, I'm just going to briefly run through our objects and our user roles. The contact user role, the primary piece that you will need to make sure that you have in your custom CRM for that set of data is a status field that's going to track the status or track the stages of that customer's history with you. So we have a multiple choice field here, and that is just added from here. We're going to add a multiple choice field, and in this multiple choice field, if we go into the settings, you'll see that we have lead, proposal, customer one, and archive. This particular field is what's going to manage. It's going to let us know what state that record is in, and then how to set up filters on our pages side to be able to show the different statuses for the particular record, for our records in the system. So want to point that out here in the builder is making sure that that primary record has, that primary object has a status field that is tracking it. Now, before I move on, I do want to say that I will sometimes hear customers say, well, do I need to create an object for each stage? And so I want to kind of take a step back and say, no, it is not necessary to create an object for each stage. And what they would mean by that is, do I need an object one to manage it when it is a lead? Do I need an object number two to manage it at the proposal stage? And again, my answer was no there, because then you're creating a lot of data and you can just manage the status of that record using a multiple choice field. So, just to share that right off the bat, that you don't need to create several objects to manage this. You can actually use a status field to keep track of this. And then the notes field will allow you to keep notes as well on the history of that record. Again, we showed you over here in our live application on the right hand side here where you can add notes, and anytime a record is updated, a note could be added to say it changed from the status of lead to proposal. So you can definitely keep track of that in a note versus creating a whole nother object to manage it, which would have redundant information or the same information as another object. So with that said, taking a look at our contacts, we want to make sure that we have this status field that's tracking that. Another important thing to note is if you're also wanting to assign records to to reps. So in our use case, when we went through the demo, our rep was assigned specific contacts or had contacts that they were only connected with, and we need to make sure that we have that connection field in here as well. So if you want to assign it to a sales rep, you want them to be able to log in and see their contacts, you need to have this connection field added there. And with that said, the notes will be pretty much the same. You'll need to have a connection field to the actual contact, and you'll need to have one to the sales rep so that you're able to show these relationships in your pages views. So also you will see here we've got our user roles, we've got sales reps group, and we have our sales managers group. So not going to go into too much detail here again, with the understanding that you guys have a good foundation of about objects and user roles, how to get them set up, and again how to make those connections. So moving over to the pages side where we're going to start building out some of this functionality. We have already pre-built started for us is the sales rep dashboard, which we took a look at over here. So on the right hand side you'll see that this is our login form. You will see here the next page that we have is our actual page once you've logged into the app, which we've got this rich text view here. We've got a menu view here which shows us completed tasks, and we are able to add a note. So you'll see that we've got this completed tasks here, and if I were to actually click on this menu here, you'd see that it says view completed task, add a note. And again, we have a table here to view current tasks. So we're not going to spend too much time on this page, but we're going to start showing how to set up that workflow, how to set up that pipeline for that specific context. So we're going to head to our leads page, and I'll do the same here on the right hand side. So we can now see we've got this menu view that allows us to add a contact, and then we have a My Leads page. Now, one thing to note here about this, how do we set this up so that it's viewing my leads? Just make sure you see that there is a key here, and this key tells you that this view is working with a logged in user. If you don't see a key here, that means it's going to expose all your leads to that particular sales rep, or all the leads in the system to that sales rep. So make sure you've got the key there. Now, we want to make sure that we are only seeing contacts that are leads. So let's go into our settings for our table view and set this up so we're looking at contacts in the system that have a status of lead. So how we would do that is we would go over to our data source tab, and on the data source tab you'll see that we have this option here to filter our records. So this is going to filter the records when the page loads. So we want to make sure that the only thing that they see is the status of leads. So we're going to go in here and we're going to add a filter, and we're going to look for our field that is tracking the status, which I took you through on the data tab. We looked at that status field, and we were able to see that multiple choice field and see all the different options. So now you'll see that we can set this status to lead. So now anything that loads on this page is going to need to have a status of lead. Otherwise, we're going to see everything in the system. So we're going to go ahead and save our changes. And so now when we go to refresh the app on the right hand side, we will only see the leads in the system. Okay, so let's hit refresh. So when you make any changes in the builder, you need to refresh your app. Just a little tip if you have not learned that. So now you will see that we can see only the leads in the system. So now the next step here is we want to be able to in our demo here, you already see that we've got this link to view lead details and also update this to proposal. So how did we get that to happen in our particular app demo here? How are we able to show this? So rather than deleting this and starting all over, I'm going to just walk you through the process here of adding this table and adding these links here to your table so that you can then create a workflow that allows you to view the lead and the details as well as update that status, update to a proposal. So we're going to head back over here to our builder. We've got our table here where we can view the leads related to our logged in sales rep. So we're going to go ahead and add a similar table, and that table is our contacts. So we're going to be looking at records connected to the logged in user. These are our contacts that are connected to that sales rep. So that's what we want to see. And we now want to see a couple of links. So if I head back over here to my leads page, I want to see a link to view details about the contact, and I want to have another link to update it. So I want to update it to a proposal. So I'm going to use two links. I'm going to use one to view more details about that contact, and I'm also going to add a link that allows me to edit this form as well. So I'm going to go ahead and add those to my view. So you'll see now that I've got this table here that says contacts, because it sets it to that by default, but you can change any of these by clicking on the settings and the edit name here, or going actually into the settings. But you'll now see that I've got these two links on the table, one to edit the contact and one to view the contact details. Now, as you can see, these are named differently. You have full control over the naming of these links, so you can definitely update those to be more user-friendly and speak to what you are actually doing in your app. So let's go into the settings for our table. And now you'll see I've got my two links, and we can move these around and change these up. And again, like I said, you have full control over what this information shows here. So I can put in here notes and details. And again, I can change this information here to say view lead, and so on and so forth, and go ahead and hit submit, and you'll see I've changed that information as well. And then we can do the exact same thing here for our edit option, where we click edit, and we can go ahead and update that to say next, and the text to say update to proposal. So that's simple enough to be able to do that. But now that we've got this information in here, and again, we're adding this new table that's allowing us to view our leads. And again, we can change all of this text here to speak to what we're trying to do. You can customize this table, you can add fields, you can remove fields. And again, if we head over to our data source, we'd want to make sure that this table is filtered to show the status, and that we're looking at our leads only on this table. So let's head back over here. So now we've got these new links here that we've added. So now we need to start editing these pages here. So let's hit save. And you'll see that those pages have been added to this table here, and we've got our contact details and our edit contact details. Now this link name doesn't change until we actually go to the page and make the changes there. So let's go to this contact details page, and this is actually going to be our view lead page. So we're not going to get into customizing it as lovely as it looks over here in our demo app, but we will walk through the process of adding a couple things here, menu and maybe notes to the page. So one thing I do like to point out is from the details page is where you can show your child records or records that are connected to this particular contact. So as I was showing you on the data tab, we were able to look at notes, and these notes have connection fields that connect to the rep as well as to the contact. So we can now show on this details page, since that contact is going to be connected specifically to a rep and to notes, we can now add a table that's going to allow us to see those child records. So we can see records connected to this page's contact, and we can add those notes there. So again, we can add that to our app. So now you're seeing we've got the details, and we've got the notes, and we're slowly building out this page, something similar to this page here. But the portion that we're really interested in is how do we move this lead into the next, update them to the next status of a proposal. So we can add a menu view to do something similar here. So we've added this menu link. Now let's go back up to the top page of our leads here, and we're able to see this contact table here, and we're able to edit the contact. Let's take a look at that page first before we move on to do anything else. This is where we're gonna update the status. So rather than using this as a page to edit the entire contact, we're going to go ahead and go into the settings for this particular view, and we're going to add a way for them to update the status. Now, if we go back to our leads page here on the right hand side, and we look at that update to proposal, we're only showing a portion of the information on this page. So you can see we've got a details view here, but then we also have project information here, but there's not an actual field to allow us to update this record to a proposal status. So to get this set up here, I'm going to remove all the fields that I don't need. So we're just basically looking at everything that's project related. And we're going to go ahead and move that down here under deliverables, the way this is set up here. And then I am going to go to my form rules, and I'm going to go to record rules, and this is where I'm going to start automating some actions here. So we know the goal here is just to update this to a proposal status. So when we're going to, for every form submission, so every time we click this link, we're going to set the status to a proposal. So that's it. We've created this this form. It's going to show these details here, and then we're going to hit submit, and it's going to update that status to proposal. So if I'm going to go back over to my inputs here, we can see all of the details here that we've got in our form, and everything looks good. So we're just going to go ahead and hit save. Now again, this information up here on this form is related to the actual contact record, and since we're in an edit record, you can actually go to a details view and go ahead and add that page's contact details there, and then you can again customize that information to look similar. So if I were to go back to my leads dashboard, you'll see that if I were to refresh my page, I'm going to have two tables. I'm going to have this new one that I've created here at the top, and then I'm also going to have the one that I started below, which is this one, new one here, which I don't have the same fields, but you can see what we're building out here. And I've got this option to view the lead, and if I click on the lead, we're just going to see the default where we're able to see the lead information, as well as this lead is in still the status of lead, and then we've got the notes that are related to the lead there. So going back to our leads page, again, we've added this update to proposal, and again, that's going to be our edit page, because we renamed this link in our table, but it's going to take us to our edit page where we added our contact details and a form to edit the contact. So if I click on update to proposal, you'll see now that I've got all those details here again, and I've got my form here that allows me to edit the contact. And again, we can update this text that you see here. Maybe you don't want to say edit the contact. Maybe we want to say in there exactly what we're doing, which is we're making this a proposal status, you know, we're moving it to that next stage. So again, you can name these anything to help again speak to what you are actually doing on the page. So refreshing that so you can just see how that changes the information. But then that's it. So let's say we did want to move this particular record with Sally Jane now over to a proposal status. We can definitely do that. So we can put Acme project and new details here. And maybe we have a proposal date for sometime in August. And we go ahead and hit submit. So now when we head back to our leads page, we've updated that record. You'll see it's removed now from both of these tables. So now where did it go? Where did that information go? How do we create that next workflow without having to, like I said, create another object to show you that information? So we're going to head back over into our builder, and we're going to add some new pages here, and we're going to again put this behind the login. This is specifically for our sales reps. We're going to click continue, and it's going to ask us which records we want this to work with. We're going to choose from up here at the top, because it's working, these objects will be working with a logged in user versus choosing contacts from below. We want to choose the contacts that are connected to the sales rep. So we're going to say show us contacts. And then what we're going to do here is we can go ahead and leave things as default, but we want to see a table, and we want to see a table to display our contacts. We want to add a link to view details, and we also want to have a form to edit the link to edit the form, as well as we want to display a table with notes too as well. So again, this will be up for you when you go through it, but you're given these options to kind of templated options to kind of build your page out for you without having to add those links, but you can definitely add them after the point. So now what we're doing here is we're creating a page for the sales reps. We're going to look at a table for our contacts, and we're going to add a couple links to that table. So I'm going to click continue, and I'm going to name this sales reps, and we're going to call it proposals. And so now I'm going to have this new page started here, right there. So again, if I refresh my app, because I just added something new in the builder, you'll see that I'll have a new page menu link here at the top, my sales rep proposals. So if I go to that, again, we're looking at everything in the system, but we want to see only our records that have a status of proposal. Okay, so what we're going to do here is now we're going to head to our table, and we're going to go into the settings there. And again, we're going to head to our data source tab, where we are going to filter. We're going to set this filter to now show us records with the status of proposal. So we'll go ahead, and before I hit save changes, I want to show on my table what the status is, so I have an idea of what I'm looking at to make sure that we have everything right. So I'm going to just drag this in place here, and now I'm going to hit save. So we went to data source, we filtered those records. So now I'm going to come over to my live app and refresh, and now you'll see that my one record with Sally Jane should now be included in our proposal status, as well as the other records that are in the system under proposal. So that's pretty much it. You were working with your multiple choice field, as well as you're working with your data source tab. Those are the two important components of this workflow to visually show that pipeline, to show where it starts as a lead, you add a lead to the system, then you have your updating links to update that link and to move them over into the sales rep proposal. And so basically on this new form, if we come over to the builder, we would do the exact same thing to this table that we did to our leads table. So again, we would go in and we can say to the settings here of our contacts, we can say update to customer 1, and can say update here, and we can go ahead and hit submit. And again, we don't necessarily need to create a new lead details page. Maybe we want to link to a page in our existing app, but you can definitely leave that link there for reference. That will then, with the proposal, we can then show the project information on this particular page. But you can basically build this out the way you want. But in terms of working with this update to customer one, we definitely will have this set up this way here. We can set our changes, save our changes, and then we can head over to again, this edit contact form here, and go to that page, and then do the exact same thing that we did with our leads. Is we can go into the settings, and then we can start removing the fields that we don't need. And I believe in our demo we were able to remove all of the fields, because you may not need to have any of this project information there. Let's say we just wanted to remove all of the fields and just delete this group altogether, and we just want to say update this contact to customer one with a question mark, and then that's it. This is all we will need to do. Is just going to show us our submit button, you know, and we can even update the text for that button there. Instead of submit, we can say confirm and hit save changes. And oh, before I do that, let me actually go back into this form and edit. I forgot to set my record rules. So even though I have been building, you do forget steps, and so you just need to go back, and you'll find out as you build things out that that's just the nature of the beast. But here we are, we're on record rules. I'm going to go ahead and add a record rule that every time this record is updated from this page, that it sets the status to customer one. And I'm going to go ahead and save my changes there. So now we've set that up for our sales rep page. We can make change. We can do a refresh here. You'll see my text and information changes over here with what I did in my builder. And now I can take Sally and I can update, and you'll see update this contact to customer one. Yes, we want to confirm that it's been done. If we go back to our sales reps and proposals, Sally is no longer on this list. And so then the next portion would be adding a page menu item that allows us to look at our customers one. Now you can definitely shorten this menu item here by just going into your on the builder side, going to that particular page, heading to your settings page, and we can take out that information there and just go ahead and update that. And again, I just refresh over here, and you'll see that it'll change the name and shorten up our menu item name there. Perfect. So then the next portion is, again, walking through those steps. I'm going to add another page that's going to be limited to my sales reps. We're going to look at our contacts. Again, we're still looking at that same object connected to our sales reps. Oops. Did not mean to do that. Hit the drop down. And so this is how you do it. You just go through, and we're adding this pipeline, and we're just managing it all with one field in our data source. So again, we can say call this customers one to keep it simple. And again, now we've got our customers one. We can go into the settings here, and we can head to our data source, and we can add a filter to show that status of customers one. Hit save changes. We can refresh our live app over here to see those changes. You'll see we have the customers one tab and menu item, and now we can see the 2 records in the system that our customers won. Now, once again, how do we know? How can we confirm that that's the right? We can go back into our builder on the left-hand side, and we can pull that status field in, just so it's easier for us to see during this demo that we do have the right information being pulled to the page. So again, I'll do another refresh. And there it is. We're looking at our customers one. So this completes the demo of how to build a pipeline in your custom CRM, or how to build a custom CRM and track the how to build a custom CRM and track your customer through a pipeline, or track the relationship. If you have any additional questions, feel free to leave them in the Q&A section of our webinar, and I will do my best to answer any additional questions that we have with the time that is remaining.